Have you ever wondered what lies beneath the surface of every road we travel on every day? That seemingly simple black layer is actually the result of one of the most intense and crucial industrial processes in the modern world. From oil formed millions of years underground to entire mountains transformed into crushed stone, asphalt is born from an extreme combination of energy, engineering, and precision. Today you'll discover how this material, which supports cities, businesses, and millions of journeys every day, is manufactured. The asphalt industry is a cornerstone of modern infrastructure. Each year it generates a market exceeding $300 billion, with over 1.6 billion tons of material produced to maintain and expand road networks. Millions of jobs depend on this activity, which in turn drives global trade. However, production also generates significant environmental impacts, high oil consumption, massive emissions, and pressure on ecosystems. But there's a surprising feature. Asphalt can be recycled virtually indefinitely. Each old layer can be crushed, heated, and reused without losing strength. This allows for a more sustainable system, where kilometers already traveled become the foundation for future kilometers, preserving economic value and reducing environmental impact. The process that creates asphalt begins long before it reaches a road. It all starts with the extraction of crude oil, a resource obtained primarily through two methods: drilling on offshore platforms and drilling wells on shore. Although both procedures have the same objective, extracting oil from extreme depths, each requires very different technologies, equipment, and safety measures. In the marine environment, engineering reaches an impressive level. Offshore platforms function practically as self-sufficient cities in the middle of the ocean, capable of withstanding intense winds, violent waves, and storms that would last for days on the coast. From their surface, a highly resistant drill bit penetrates layers of water and sediment to bore into the seabed, sometimes reaching depths of over 2,700 meters. In this zone, where pressures can exceed 3,000 psi, every operation must be controlled with absolute precision. To achieve this, specially formulated drilling fluids are used. These fluids cool the drill bit while it is operating, stabilize the well-bore walls to prevent collapse, and carry rock fragments to the surface. At the point where the well meets the main equipment, the wellhead, multiple safety barriers known as blowout preventers are installed. Their function is to react immediately to any sudden increase in pressure. The entire system operates under the supervision of a network of sensors capable of recording temperature, pressure, vibration, and flow in real time. This information is sent directly to the control room, where operators adjust each parameter to maintain stable and safe operation. Once the well is finally under control and begins production, the crude oil is piped to specially designed floating storage tanks. From there, it is transferred to tankers that transport it to onshore refineries. These platforms are true technological fortresses, designed to remain in service for decades despite the harsh environment. Their stability in the face of storms, extreme waves, and wind gusts is the result of complex structural calculations, advanced anchoring systems, and constant monitoring. On land, although conditions are more stable, the process is very similar. Drilling rigs lower steel drill bits thousands of meters below the surface to reach the deposits. Again, drilling fluids protect the well and maintain the drill bit's temperature. In high-pressure zones, the oil can rise on its own. In others, traditional mechanical wellheads, pump jacks, rhythmically pump the crude. Up above, the oil is stored in enormous tanks and then transported by pipelines or tanker trucks to refineries. It doesn't matter if it comes from the ocean or remote plains. It always ends up becoming the raw material that begins the process of asphalt manufacturing. Once the oil arrives at the refinery, it undergoes its first major transformation: distillation. The crude oil is gradually heated to between 350 and 400 degrees Celsius, enough to separate its components according to their molecular weight. Inside the distillation tower, the vapors rise and condense in an orderly fashion. At the top, gases, gasoline, and kerosene are obtained. In the middle, diesel appears, and at the bottom, the heaviest remains fall. This dense, dark residue, then subjected to further processing, becomes the base of asphalt. The entire system is monitored 24 hours a day by sensors that control pressure, flow, and temperature, ensuring that each fraction is extracted at the precise point. But oil is not enough. The other essential component is stone. Hard rocks, Granite, basalt, limestone are extracted from open-pit quarries for their resistance to wear. The process begins by removing the top layer of soil. Then, teams drill a grid of pits, place explosives, and detonate the rock with a controlled blast. Giant excavators and trucks collect the enormous masses of stone and transport them along internal roads to the crushing plant. There, crushers reduce the rocks to different sizes, while conveyor belts and vibrating screens separate each fraction according to strict criteria. Coarse aggregates provide structure, medium aggregates fill voids, and fine aggregates act as a binder. The mixture will ultimately form the skeleton of the pavement. When the heavy petroleum residue is ready and the aggregates have been sieved, both materials are in the asphalt plant, where the final quality of the product is defined. The aggregate first passes through a rotary dryer several meters long, where a direct flame heats it to over 150 degrees, eliminating all moisture. It then ascends via elevators to a screening tower that classifies the material again. Electronic systems accurately weigh each fraction according to the mixing formula. In parallel, the binder, the heavy component of the petroleum, is preheated to between 150 and 160 degrees to keep it fluid. Everything enters the forced mixer, a metal chamber with two counter-rotating shafts that envelop each grain of stone in the hot binder. The cycle lasts between 30 and 45 seconds and must be kept at the precise temperature to prevent the mixture from becoming too stiff or too soft. A central computer controls each phase to ensure uniformity in each production batch. When the cycle is complete, the hot mix falls into an intermediate tank with a controlled temperature between 135 and 150 degrees, preventing clumping. It then passes to the hot storage silo, where mechanical paddles prevent segregation. Only then is the specialized truck positioned beneath the unloading system. Its bed has been treated with a non-stick coating and covered with a thermal tarpaulin to retain the heat until it reaches the construction site. At the paving site, the truck unloads the mix onto the paver's feed table. Belts and augers then carry the material to the rear, where a screed, guided by laser sensors, spreads it to the exact thickness and slope. While the mixture is still hot, a series of rollers begins the compaction process. A smooth roller initiates settling, a pneumatic roller seals the gaps, and a vibrating roller completes the finishing process, acquiring the required density. If the mixture drops below 95 degrees, it loses its ability to adhere, so thermal control is vital. Once the compaction process reaches its final stage, the pavement surface still retains a considerable temperature. Asphalt retains heat for quite some time due to the mixture of mineral aggregates and binder, which act as a large thermal reservoir. For this reason, before allowing traffic or proceeding to the next phase of construction, workers apply water to the newly laid layer. This spraying serves two essential functions. It accelerates the cooling process and at the same time acts as a practical quality check. If the water disperses evenly without forming puddles or areas where it becomes trapped, it means that the compaction has been adequate and that the surface has the correct density. Even drainage indicates that there are no internal voids that could weaken the layer over time. After this initial rapid test, a more meticulous evaluation phase begins. Technical teams use laser devices to take measurements, analyzing the flatness and slope of the layer to ensure that the design specifications are met precisely. Permeability tests are also conducted to determine how well the material resists water flow, which is crucial for preventing damage from freezing, seepage, or premature deterioration. Additionally, small cylinders of pavement, called core samples, are extracted using a special drill. These samples are sent to the laboratory where parameters such as strength, density, binder content, and overall mix quality are analyzed. Only when all these values fall within the ranges established by the technical standards is the section of pavement officially considered approved and suitable to withstand thousands of vehicles throughout the day. However, the story of asphalt doesn't end when wear and tear from use begins. Unlike other materials, its life cycle is designed to continue. When the surface layer loses quality, becomes uneven, or begins to show signs of deterioration, the renewal stage begins. Milling machines remove several centimeters of the surface, crushing it on site and generating a material known as RAP, reclaimed asphalt pavement. This reclaimed material retains both the mineral aggregates and the aged binder that held them together. Instead of being discarded, it is transported back to the production plant, where it undergoes a recovery process. It is dried to remove moisture, sorted by size using vibrating screens, and then mixed with fresh aggregates and virgin binder. The proportions are precisely controlled electronically, allowing the RAP to regain much of its flexibility, adhesion, and structural strength. There is also an alternative and increasingly popular method, in situ recycling. In this process, specialized machinery works directly on the road surface without the need to transport any material. The surface is pulverized, mixed with a rejuvenating additive or a new binder, and then compacted again, all in a single pass. This technique significantly reduces construction time, minimizes material transport, and lowers operating costs, while also generating a much smaller environmental impact. Thanks to these recovery practices, asphalt becomes a material with an almost infinite cycle, capable of being renewed again and again without losing its fundamental properties. In some regions, modern plants achieve 100% recycled content, making asphalt one of the most reusable construction materials. In addition to saving millions of tons of rock and oil, it significantly reduces CO2 emissions. Asphalt not only supports highways, cities, and trade routes, it demonstrates that infrastructure can also have a sustainable cycle. From offshore platforms subjected to extreme pressures, through quarries where thousands of tons of rock are fractured, to distillation towers and blending plants that never stop. Each stage is part of a gigantic technological chain, whose final result is the black surface we drive on every day. Although it seems simple, it involves engineering, energy, and human ingenuity. And thanks to recycling processes, its cycle practically never ends. It is removed, mixed, and reborn as part of new roads, saving resources and sustaining the mobility of billions of people.